Hello, my darling doves. Welcome back. I am so sorry it's been a while. I had some stuff going on personally, including having to get glasses, which was very fun. I haven't worn glasses in well over a decade, so it's been kind of hard adjusting to the vision changes. My vision is not really that bad to begin with. It's just been something different, you know, as I've gotten older. They say that your body starts rejecting everything in your 30s, and I think they're right. So yeah, just some different stuff going on. I am working on a different kind of tarot reading video for you guys as well. There's just been a couple snags in production on that one, but it is still coming, so don't worry, we're going to have some more fun with tarot cards here soon. But in the meantime, I had a thought. We have a couple of these tiny little glass vials left over from the wreaths that we made, the protection wreaths with the bells for the front and back door. So I thought, teeny tiny jar, very lightweight, easy to seal. Why not make a wearable protection spell? You know, something you can carry around with you as a necklace or on a keychain if you don't like wearing jewelry. And it'd be cute and fun and very useful. And we haven't done just like a blanket protection spell before either. So I also thought that that would be a nice little change of pace. There we go. Get the incense going here. So that is our goal for today. So we're working with stuff we already have with these tiny jars that came from those spell kits. Herbs, stones, salt that we've already acquired before. And we're going to be sealing it all with a nice simple plain white candle for protection. You can use any a color candle that you associate with. If you yourself love pink or purple or blue or green and you feel like those colors fairly represent you, go ahead and use that colored candle instead. But we're just going to use white today because it's simple and I have one. Some people will also tell you to use black for protection spells. Also a good choice. I just happen to be out of black candles. So we've got this cleaned out. Purified with our incense prior to starting. I do still use the incense cones with the backflow burner. I just figured for a vessel this small, we want to do it quick and easy with this stick of incense. And you already saw I was using the purification oil on our spoon. Get it nice and cleaned up for today. So I've got 4 main ingredients we're going to use here. We've got our Dead Sea salt, so some good old regular salt. I don't know what it is, if it's the winter humidity or what, but the salt ends up sticking to the jar. There we go. Get that loosened up. Our blue sage, smaller and much more powdery than the traditional white sage that we have that is dried in a bunch, so it'll fit in the jar a little bit better. Both blue sage and white sage are great for protection. I just feel like fitting this into a jar is a lot easier than trying to cram one of these in and breaking it down into a bunch of tiny pieces. This is just going to make our life so much easier. But both are great for protection. We'll be using lavender. Another one that's great for protection has a lot of different uses. I always keep lavender around, as you can see. I have a big old jar of it on my desk here. And carnelian, or citron. Citron. Lots of different uses. Particular favorite of mine. Also my birthstone. So for a protection spell for me personally, citron makes a lot of sense. You can change that up to any stone that you feel particularly close to. Or if you're not feeling a connection to a particular stone, color, element that you want to call on, particular chakra that you want to be involved in this usage, you can always use clear quartz. Clear quartz is great for everything, including protection and purification spells, because it is simple and will take on the attribute of anything that you like. But all the clear quartz I have left is rather large. Not going to fit. So we are using citron. And it just so happens this citron is incredibly tiny. So it works. So the oil has had plenty of time to settle and dry on here, so we won't have any issues getting our ingredients into our jar. So we're going to pop the cap, humidity in here. I do keep it kind of warm in here because I'm not a fan of the winter. And then very carefully holding our little vial. Going to spoon in just a little of the salt here. Doing it over the jar to make sure there's no spills or looses. And maybe a quarter of the jar, not even quite a full quarter. So that's our salt. There. We'll move on to the blue sage. And again, give it a stir, loosen it up a little bit, make sure it's not clumping. And we're kind of running the jar up the spoon rather than trying to dump it in, so that we're capturing as much as we can because the mouth of this jar is rather small. It's a very small, very cute little jar. Tap, 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 tap. Settle it. A bit more. Tap, tap, tap. We can do just a little bit more than that. We're not even quite halfway full. Tap off the spoon. Put that back here. There we go. Now we do have a little bit of infiltration from the salt and the blue sage, but it is layering up rather beautifully, and we are at just about halfway full now. Lovely. So we'll move on up to the lavender. And this part's going to take a moment because we're going to feed in the buds one by one. This part's a bit slower. Whoops. Or you're going to try to grab one and end up getting two in your hand and then one on the table. That's fine, that's what we keep an ultra cloth down for. Protection and loveliness. But we're just putting the lavender in the jar one by one. Starting to get some in there. And the lavender does smell lovely. Very earthy. Very calming. Couple more. You don't have to use the entire stalk. I think we can fit the entire thing in there though. There's not all that much left. But again, you do not have to use the entire stalk. Your jar may be a different size. Your stones may be a different size. I know for a fact the citron I'm working with is quite small. So I will be able to fit a good portion in here. But if your stones are just a little bit larger, just use as much of each ingredient as makes sense to you. Getting toward the top, they're getting smaller. There we go. I dropped one. Here we go. And I'm just using the end to kind of push them around since because they're a bit bigger. And there's the lavender. Got 3 of our ingredients in there, looking lovely. And we'll move on to our lovely citrons. Beautiful, golden, reflective. And these are rather small, so I'm going to use the spoon again to scoop. Bring the jar just a wee bit closer so we don't get stones all over the place. And then this is just going to be kind of whichever ones fit. See, in a small jar, stones are relatively small, but they're definitely not all going to fit. Some will fit easier than others. There we go, that seems to be a nice amount, because we do still need room for the cork to fit. There's about 7 or 8 pieces of small citron in there. So we will put this to the side. Cork in, nice and tight. Yep, perfect fit there. Bring our pouring jar over. Not pouring jar, pouring surface. Great for holding pillar candles, but also great for collecting the wax when I'm doing all these crazy pour-overs. Also, I just love the inlay design. Tart by Tara. If any of you are in Texas, she has a crafting studio down there where she makes all of her different art and now offers classes on making different art pieces yourself too. So, cannot say enough about her. This is gorgeous. I have a couple other pieces by her too. A resin cat that has gems in it and stuff. She does phenomenal work. Got our jar, and since we're wire wrapping it, we're just going to seal the top a little bit. Ouch, I'm already burning myself. It's not going to be as big of a seal as what we usually do on the protection jars that are staying around the house, because on those, like the money jar, the dream sequence jar, those are all only sealed by the wax. They have nothing else keeping them shut. So if you have, say, a murder cat like me, a tiny little familiar that wants to wreck all of your stuff, the wax will help prevent them from spilling. However, this will have the added benefit of the wire. And the wire should prevent any additional, I'm getting burned again, damage or openings. A little bit of wax on my finger there, but it's okay. We'll give this a minute to set and dry and harden. But we do have wax sealed all the way around the top here. And let's talk wire wrapping. There's a lot of different ways you can wire wrap jewelry. A lot of different wires you can use. Lots of different techniques. Some people will add beads, charms, dangly bits to the outside. Some people don't do it all that fancy. They prefer simple designs. That is completely up to you. The wire I have, because I'm just using what I have on hand, is actually from an earring project I was doing a few years back. So it is extremely thin. This is probably, oh god, if I could remember, probably like a 28 gauge, at best a 24 gauge. It is very small wire. The smaller you go for wire, the bigger the number gets. So it's kind of like when you have earrings or ear piercings or people that gauge their ears. A 0 is much, much bigger than a 24. This is so thin it's practically invisible. A standard like ear piercing, by contrast, is usually around a size 18. This is a bit thinner than that. So I am going to probably double up on the wire in a couple points, where if you are using a slightly thicker gauge wire, you will not need to double up. So measure your wire accordingly. It's been a few years since I've played with any wire wrapping. So I may flub this once or twice before we actually get something that I like. But here we go. So I'm going to cut about this much. Handy dandy wire cutters. Please always be careful using wire and other sharp implements. This is your PSA for the day. This stuff can and will poke you. Wire cutters, you could definitely do some damage to yourself. So be very, very careful. And that goes for fire, candles, anything stabby. Please do not chew on rocks or ingest anything that you're using. You know, usual fair warnings. Because this is so thin, I don't think I'm really going to need pliers to manipulate it. If I want to do any fancy spiral shapes or bends or anything like that, or for rolling circles, I'm going to use my little wooden scratch stick. Because I'm working with what I've got on hand and I have no idea where my tweezers are. Pliers. They came with my toolkit. Pretty sure they're for actual like home repairs or whatever, but I use them for jewelry sometimes. But I don't know where they went. So we're just gonna wing it. So I think the best way to do this, because I need the loop to string through the probably necklace. So I'm gonna take this, try to find the midpoint of my wire here. Because it's been stored in a circle for so long, it's going to do that. So the midpoint's going to be right about here. I'm going to wrap it around. And pull. And I'm going to make that first circle before I even put the wire to the jar. And I'm going to cross it over again. And give it a nice twist. So now you can see I have 2 loops, a nice twist. I'm going to twist it one more half turn to make sure it's completely secure. So you can see 2 loops, a nice little twist. I'm going to take my jar and I'm going to keep it on the stick for now so I can make sure that it's going to hold the round shape and I'm not going to like pinch it by accident or crush it. And I'm going to press this into the V I made in the wire with the twist right about here where the neck of the jar flares out. You want to remember that natural hold point. And I may screw up the wax a little bit, but that's fine if I do. I'm going to come out here and I think I want to wrap it around. Back toward the back. Yeah, I want to do that. So I'm going to make this one, because it's kind of pointing upright anyway, point toward the top. So that's going to be my upper, and then this one, it's kind of just going out, is going to be my lower strand. So we're going to do that. And we're going to come here. And do I even have enough wire to do this the way I want to do this? We're going to come down the back of the jar. Right about here. And let them cross over naturally. And then where they're crossing over, I'm going to make 1 twist, 2 twists, but I'm not pinching them together super, super tight because I want it to stay under the jar. I'm not trying to force it up the back, because that's the thing with this wire being so thin, is it's almost acting like string. And we're going to come back up and cross over again here. And we're going to do 1, cross, this one, the shorter one, because one of them still ended up a little bit shorter than the other. I'm going to wrap around the back again. I did just break a little bit of the wax seal off. That was hanging down much lower. That is okay. And this is kind of sliding a little bit on the bottom, so I'm just gonna get my fingers in between the wires and give them a nice little tug. Because the wire should hold the shape that you give it. So by encouraging it to split a little bit, it's going to give it more hold. This front part I kind of want to do in a spiral, but I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work out. Let me see if I can. Take this off the end. There we go. Use the pointier side. The last teeny tiny bit of wire is really not wanting to form in. There we go. Oh, get back on the stick. Please get back on the stick. We started off strong. Yep. And hold it down and keep wrapping it in a spiral. Which is easier said than done since it's not wanting to cooperate now. This is probably why I don't make jewelry. Many years ago when I was in high school, I took a jewelry making class. And the soldering and everything was fun. I should definitely not be trusted with that amount of fire. Oopsies. But when it came to stuff like this, I lose my patience so fast if it's not doing what I want it to do. And that is a character flaw that I've been working on, slowly but surely. But I'm probably not going to be trying this again. Oof, come on. Come on. Maybe this is the part where I actually did need pliers. Dang it, I keep poking myself. Now I lost the stick. Oops. And now I've just scooted you around quite a bit. I didn't mean to. I apologize. I never mean to kick you around. Found the stick. We're gonna get that back on there. And we're gonna just tiny bit of progress. Ouch. Okay, maybe not. What if I come down here? do this. Nope, now it's just a bit crazy looking. It's kind of halfway doing what I want it to do, and then kind of halfway looking really weird. That seems to be the definition of everything that I ever come up with. At this point I'm like, just keep twisting, it can't be that bad. And now this piece is trying to cause a problem. I need you to get in your lane. This is where this stick might come in handy. I'm going to pull this wire. Down through the main loop here. Just like it's trying to pump off the front. And this crazy little coil that I've got going on. We're just going to bend into place over here. We're going to use the bigger side of the stick to make the spiral look intentional. And voila! And then the circles, which have stayed in perfect shape so far, we're just going to fold up a little bit so then it'll fit onto a pendant. But that is not exactly what I had in mind as far as the wire wrapping, but everything else. For making a protection jar pendant that is perfectly wearable, or a keychain if you prefer. So, I'm going to call that a win. Thank you for sticking with me today on our weird little adventure. I will be back again soon with a new tarot video. We're going to do some POV tarot reading. It's more of kind of a lesson, but I will have that out super soon. I appreciate you so much for staying with me and sticking through all the craziness. I love you all, and I hope you have the most wonderful of nights. Thank you.